From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. The Tennessee General Assembly comes back to Nashville in January. One of the many critical issues facing lawmakers is how we continue to fund our road system. In fact, there are estimates that within the next 3 years, state government won't have all the money it needs to keep our road systems in repair, much less to expand them or build new ones. Republican State Senator Jim Tracy of Shelbyville is our guest on Inside Politics this week. He's the chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee and will be playing a leading role in this debate. Senator, thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Glad to talk about this important issue.
So how bad is our road? Is it true we won't have enough money to do regular road repair within 3 years? How do we get in the shape? How do we get in that bad a shape?
Well, we're in pretty good shape where we are. The positives are we have no debt on our roads. Here's the real life story where we are today. Since the last time we've done a transportation bill in Tennessee is 1989. The cost of roads.
That's the last time the gas tax went up.
That's correct, in 1989, and today the citizens pay 21.4 cents per gallon on gasoline, 18.4 on diesel. The cost of building roads has gone up tremendously through the design phase, the environmental phase, the right-of-way phase. Matter of fact, I'll ask anybody watching today, if anybody can buy right-of-way cheaper today than they could in 1989, I've got some oceanfront property.
Well, you have a $6 billion backlog in road projects. Now, I don't know how many of those are necessary, but that's a huge number.
It's a big number, and a majority of that $6 billion has already been approved through the first 4 phases. In other words, when I talk about the phases, many of the legislators think once a project's approved that the money's going to be there to fund it all the way through. That's not the case. You have to go through the design phase, environmental, right away. So we're a long ways from getting there. So that's the challenge we got. We know what the problem is now.
Now, to compound this issue, Congress can't make up its mind either. They continue to have the same problem in passing a transportation bill, and they're dealing with whether they take up the gas tax or kind of how they do. So we're not getting the federal money that we've been expecting to get either.
That's correct. And the federal, they're doing a patchwork approach. They'll pass something for like 3 months at a time.
That's how they do budgets in general up there.
Yeah, so therefore we can't plan our roads. And we all know, the people listening today and watching this TV show know that you have to plan sometimes 8-10 years ahead on a road project, and we have a hard time planning because they're not planning.
So should Tennessee go ahead and do what it needs to do, or should you wait to see what Washington does first, knowing that Washington may not do anything for a while, may continue to just do sort of stopgap measures?
No, I think we're going to have to move forward as Tennesseans, as a state. We're doing a good job here. We got to continue to go, and we're going to go.
Now, it's estimated a 1-cent gas tax would cost the average driver about $7.50 a year, more a year than they're paying now. It would generate $30 million for the state. Why is that so hard to sell to folks?
I think the difficulty is explaining to the citizens of Tennessee and the legislators of the importance of the need. I think right now that's where we are, and as I'm going around the state traveling, talking to citizens, they have a hard time believing what you just said. The average citizen pays $160 a year in state gas tax. And I said, how much do you pay on your cell phone bill? And they look at me and they just start laughing because they had no idea they paid such a small amount.
Now, you represent portions of Rutherford County. You've met with some of the officials down there. I've seen some news stories that they're sort of saying to you, look, if we don't get some of these things funded and done down here, we're going to drown in our own growth. We're going to hurt our own economic development if we don't do something to fix the roads.
Absolutely. I've heard from my district and how important roads are. Just take Joe B. Jackson, where we have Amazon that went in. We had to redo that whole road going into Amazon. We wouldn't have got Amazon if we hadn't had a good road project there. So roads are important for economic development.
Now, 2016 is a re-election year for you, for everybody in the House, half the Senate. Is that the real problem you've got, getting your colleagues to go along with this? They don't want to have to raise taxes in an election year on anything.
Correct. That would be one problem, I would say, Pat. And the next problem is I think it's going to take a while to come up with a plan. We got to find out what the total needs are. I think a 10-year plan of what our needs are in the state of Tennessee, come up with how much revenue we're going to need to fund that plan, and then how we're going to achieve those revenues.
So you're looking at no action in 2016, perhaps moving this on to 2017 after the election?
We may look at some things. We're looking at some things in 16, but I think it's going to take another year for us to get ready.
Now, one of your colleagues in Rutherford County, Rick Womack, opposes any gas tax hike. He says until the governor and lawmakers properly spend the money they have right now. He points to the $70 million that the lawmakers approved in the last session to build a new state museum. Does he have a good point?
No, that's apples and oranges. That's general fund money for the citizens out there. We have a dedicated fund, Pat, that goes right into roads, and that's one-time money, not recurring money. We need recurring long-term money for the road program. So I hear that on the trail. Once I explain to people that we need money to continue to pay for roads and pay for new roads and resurfacing the continuing maintenance of roads.
Tennessee's always done its roads on a pay-as-you-go basis. You mentioned we don't have any debt on our road system. Is it time for us, given the costs that are going on and the fact that people just feel like they can't pay more taxes, is it time to get a credit card, to decide to go into debt on some road projects?
No, not in my opinion, and I don't think there's a movement to do that in the General Assembly. We're one of 5 states that don't do it. I think it gives us an advantage over other states. If you do go in debt, you're going to have to find a stream of revenue to pay that debt, and you got to pay the debt before you can fix the road. So Governor Recorder went way back, and he started that back, and I actually discussed that with him when I first became chairman. So no, I don't think there's a need to do that. State
Senator Jim Tracy is our guest. We're talking about the challenges that Tennessee faces on a number of areas. Right now we're talking about the road system and what to do about the gasoline tax and other matters relating to transportation. Back to continue our conversation with the Senator after this break.